Hello, everyone. Esther Kane here. Welcome to webinar number 7. Today, now we've talked a lot about content and, using that for marketing and all kinds of content. I'm not just talking about articles. I'm talking about, video and podcasting and ads and everything else. And last webinar number 6 was all about prompting. And I shared with you a lot of the prompts that I use most often to help me create these types of content. So today I wanted to talk to you about taking that content that you're busy working on and that you've created and repurposing it. In other words, instead of recreating the wheel or creating something new, you're taking what you've already created and breaking it up. So I wanted to, so that's the topic today. So why? Why would you even repurpose any of your content? Well, one, every time you change the format of that content, you're attracting a different audience. If you have an article and you convert that content to a video, put that on YouTube, that's a different audience. If you take that same content and convert it to a podcast, you're getting a different audience. If you take that same content and create reels, then you're going to a different audience from Instagram or shorts on videos. If you take that same content and you put it on, recreate an article based on that content and put that on LinkedIn as a post or article, that's another audience. So you're always reaching different audiences with the different types of content, all from the same topic, from the same original piece of content. Repetition, of course, as we all know, is extremely important. You can send out an email to someone, let them know how wonderful your services are and how great they are and why they should use it and so on and so on. You're hardly going to get anything from that first email. So you send out a second email, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh. Average, it takes about 7 contacts before you get a response. Doesn't mean it's a sale, but you get a response. So you have to keep repeating and reiterating your message. Doesn't have to be the same, Pinterest pin or the same article over and over again, but it does have to be the same message, always coming back to you. And of course, adding more, having yourself show up in more online places, social media and a blog and Google Business and anywhere else, other websites, other podcasts, other YouTubes, that boosts your search engine optimization, and it also boosts your generative engine optimization. And generative engine optimization is basically how, getting on AI programs like ChatGPT or Perplexity. You'll notice that if you use those programs like a search engine, you'll notice that they are linking to resources. Well, how do you become one of those resources? That's generative engine optimization. So that's going to be another webinar. But I just wanted you to know that by being in multiple places, then it boosts your SEO and GEO. And it also saves a lot of time because you don't have to reinvent an article every time. It's not like you have to write something absolutely brand new. You can take bits and pieces of your article and create little Pinterest pins, Instagram pins, reels, anything at all to send it out there and always point back to that same article or your website or anything at all. Okay. Trying to scroll down. Hold on. Okay, I fixed it. All right, so planning for repurposing. Just like anything, and I always recommend calendars. Doesn't have to actually be a calendar. I use Excel sheets or spreadsheets I don't use Excel. I use OpenOffice. It's free and it works very, very similar to Excel. But anyway, I use spreadsheets. I don't use calendars. It's much easier that way for me. But if you structure the content with clear sections, like your original article, let's say. So the way you do that is you create an article, and then you have the title, the header, got a paragraph, whatever, introducing it, and then you have a subheader, and then you have a paragraph or two or three underneath that, and then another subheader, and so on and so on and so on. It's almost like when we were writing papers in school. If you remember that, you would have a title, and then you would have information, and then you would have a subheader, and you would continue going on and creating subheaders and subheaders of subheaders and so on, depending on the topic. So breaking up the content that way, it not only helps your SEO, it also helps your reader understand, what information is in that frame with the subheader, what are they going to read underneath that. And it makes it easier to repurpose that piece, because then you can just take that section, the subheader and that section, and then repurpose that. Now, if you're using a program like Perplexity or ChatGPT or any other AI program, I would recommend to just simply put in the prompt to, break this up into headers and subheaders to make it easier to repurpose. You could just say that and it will break it up in that fashion. But I do want to say one other note kind of outside of this webinar is the program Grok, G-R-O-Q. That is free, I know, but do not use that program because that AI program, the database that it uses is Twitter. So Twitter information has been deemed for quite a while, ever since it turned to X, it's been deemed, there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation on X, formerly known as Twitter. So I would not advise you to use Grok as a tool for writing anything, because you're going to have to heavily edit and fact check that program. I know that AI programs hallucinate nowhere near as much as they did a year ago, but they still do, and you still have to fact check and edit your articles, but you don't want to have to fact check and edit every single sentence, which is what you'll end up doing with Grok. So avoid Grok. And yeah, okay. So just a little side note. All right. Obviously, whenever you're writing anything, and even if it's repurposing it, who are you repurposing that content for? So know your audience. Programs like clicky.com, I think it's $80 a year. You can get stats on your own website on clicky.com as to what people are looking at, what are they interested in. Or you can use a program like keysearch.co to find out what your website is doing, but also what your competitors are doing. What are they getting traffic for? And that's always a great way to expand your own, information that you're putting out there. So consider using both or either one of those. I had an idea and it just went out of my head. But, oh, yes, when you're targeting a specific, let's say you're writing for Pinterest. So most people on Pinterest are usually going for, design, recipes, home modifications, that kind of thing. So you want to tailor whatever you're repurposing towards that audience. You want to rewrite it towards that. So if you're using AI to write your content, tell AI that the target audience are home renovators. For senior homes, or families looking to renovate a home for a senior parent. Tell it that, and then it will write your repurposed content for that specific audience. And that's how you end up changing the information that you put in there, that you copy and paste from your original article. You copy and paste it into AI, ask tell it to rewrite it for a new audience, and then it will do that. The same with Instagram. Instagram is mostly younger adults, although younger, I mean like in their 30s, and 40s even. Older than that is usually Facebook. I will tell you that I hardly get any traffic at all from Facebook anymore. It's really been dying for the last year or two, so I'm not sure if putting any effort into Facebook is worth it. Facebook groups, maybe. That's a different entity, but Facebook itself doesn't seem to be bringing anything. Pinterest, Instagram, YouTube, and the websites are all doing extremely well. All right. Create a content calendar, plan when you're going to share, what you're going to share. And this is especially true if you want to target some fun things like holiday gifts or fun holidays, those weird holidays like National Cannoli Day or whatever. If you want to repurpose those kinds of holidays and you want to have them on your calendar so that they'll come out on or just before those particular kind of days. This is great, especially for the holidays when a lot of families get together. How do you plan to have holidays, in your home with senior loved ones who may have mobility issues? What can you do to make the home a little more comfortable and easy for them to get into? Maybe you need to rent a portable ramp. Maybe you need to, maybe get railings, on the sofa that, just come, that are portable. They can go, they slide in and out off the sofa cushions and to help somebody get up or down, whatever it may be needed. But those are ideas that you can put out there on specific holidays. They're not necessarily evergreen ideas or ideas that can be used all year long. Well, some of them could. All right, so those are the 3 ways to plan, because it truly is, I tell everyone that it really is 90% planning and 10% doing. And if you plan it well, then you will, the doing of it is easy. And as we go along with these webinars, I'll be showing you my system on how I plan. In fact, maybe I'll do that in the webinar number 8. I'll do that, I'll show you what a content calendar looks like, and then the process of publishing and repurposing that content. It may be a long webinar, but it'll be worth it. I mean, you'll get information you've never seen anywhere else before because I made it. It's mine. All right. So what are some creative ways to repurpose? Again, blog posts, putting together several articles into an ebook or a packet that you can print and give to your customers, or you can give them a URL for them to go to and print it themselves. Anything with that, if you have clients, if you have a client, let's say that they're needing the home modified for someone who has a senior parent who has dementia, then you may want to put together several articles. Even if they're not your articles, it would be a wonderful way to show that, hey, I'm really looking out for you. Here are some articles that can really help you to make the home safer for your loved one. It's got some great tips, some ideas. Let me know any other way that I can help you. Because if you can become the person that they call for just about anything related to this home modification, then you've got an in, and they're going to refer you to their friends, family, whatever. Social media content. You can extract quotes and statistics. You can match them up with graphics. And you can use programs like napkin.ai, Ideogram, and gamma.app to create these graphics and flowcharts and more. The slides that you're looking at right now were created by gamma.app. And all I did was use chat to create the outline for this webinar. I went in and edited the outline for the webinar. I took that text, I put it into Gamma, and it created these beautiful presentations with graphics and broke it all down. And that was it. In just a little while, less than an hour, I had everything done, including the editing. That's pretty good. All right. So more repurposing opportunities, more ways that you can repurpose is to create infographics. If you've ever seen them, they're these long graphics that are usually broken down in 4 or 5 steps. And I'll have a webinar on how to create infographics. Those are a great way to show a case in a very, very simple way. Maybe your services, maybe the process of how something works, the reasons why something would be useful, reasons why something isn't useful, anything at all. But you're basically sharing that information in a visual format. And what's so good about infographics is that they get shared most often. I've done multiple infographics for my other website, seniorsafetyadvice.com, and those have gotten shared in universities, in professional labs, companies. They've contacted me. Would it be all right if we put your infographic in our training session? I mean, an infographic is an amazing tool. You always want to make sure that your name, your URL, your company name, whatever, is somewhere on that infographic so people know that that graphic came from you. Canva is a good program to create infographics. So play around with that. Give it a try. Podcast episodes. Podcasts are amazing. They are exploding in these last few years. I myself listen to about 25 different podcasts. I do it often when I'm driving or walking, exercise, whatever. During lunch, I love to listen to podcasts. I wish there was a way that you could listen to a podcast, pause it with your voice, say pause, take a note of the last 4 minutes. It would take a note and then go back to the podcast. I wish it would do that, because while I'm driving or walking or exercising, I can't take a note of what the person just said, and I really want to take a note. But anyway, besides that, if anybody knows an app creator, you can give them that idea. Anyway, so podcast episodes, you can use webinar audio as the basis for podcast content. You know, if you, like this webinar, if you do webinars or YouTube video, I personally use ScreenPal. That's what I'm using to create this video. I use Zoom to create sometimes the interview videos. Those are easier for most everybody, because most everybody can get on Zoom. And then I use Buzzsprout to put my podcast on, and Buzzsprout then distributes it to Apple and Spotify and all the other podcast companies. That's how it gets out. So yeah, there's a process, but if you have, again, a calendar, if you know that on Monday you're going to write the script for the podcast, on Tuesday you're going to record the podcast, on Wednesday, you're going to publish the podcast. If you break it up in smaller pieces, like, you know, they mention in the book Atomic Habits, if you break it up, it makes the process so much easier and you get so much done. I mean, that's just how I do everything, is in small increments, and it works out beautifully. I manage 7 websites and this company, and it's a lot. But I manage it by breaking it all up in small increments. So you can do it too. I know you can. All right, online courses. If you are an aging in place professional, you may at some point decide that you want to switch, let's say, from doing so many home assessments to providing online courses. Now, of course, you can sign up with the National Association of Home Builders and become a CAPS instructor. So you can do that. Those are basically online courses. Or you can create your own, and then that way you get all the income. from those courses. Of course, that means you have to market it, but you create everything yourself. You can take the content that you're writing, putting together, and you can expand them into broader topics, series of shorter lessons even. There are many different ways that you can create online courses, webinars. It's a lot of people are making a good amount of income, full-time income with online courses. Eventually, I may decide to do that. I haven't decided as of yet. I need to squeeze it in my time. Okay, so what are the best practices for repurposing? As always, like anything, you want to focus on quality. The information you put out needs to be useful for the reader. It has to be, to-do lists, action lists. I mean, yeah, you're going to have stories in there. You're going to have your opinion in there, all of that, but you need to make it so that when the reader is reading it, they get something out of it. When they put that article down or that video down or whatever, you want them to go do something, to be able to go do something, call someone, do something. And that makes it a very purposeful, quality article. You want to distribute it widely. So if you have an article, you want to put it on Reddit. You want to put it on medium.com. You want to put it on LinkedIn, on Facebook. You want to put it as many places as you can. If you have email, newsletters, of course. If you have a video, you want to put it, of course, on YouTube. You want to take those videos and put them on your website with related articles. You can make shorts of those videos with a program called Opus, O-P-U-S. Forgot to put that on here. Opus. And that program, you just put in the URL of your YouTube video, not someone else's, your video, and it will break it up into a ton of shorts that you can take and put on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever. Obviously, you want to add value. You want to give, as I said, you want to give the viewer, the reader, information they can use, something they can do, maybe something new, a unique way to do whatever. When I write my LinkedIn articles, it usually comes up with, standard marketing tips or whatever. But I'm looking for things that are different, things that are unique, some different way, out of the box type of ideas. And Chat and Perplexity are very good at doing that. They'll come up with some ideas. I like some, not others. But some ideas spark other ideas in my head, and I put those in the article. So that's the whole purpose of using those tools. And consistent branding. You always want to be consistent no matter what you print or put out, video, whatever. You want to have the same logo on everything. Consistent branding. You want to make sure that it's everywhere so that people can recognize it. One of the things that's most important that a lot of marketers, small business people don't do. I was almost 26 years in internet marketing, and I worked with small business owners almost the entire time. And this is the one thing that a lot of them didn't do. So I ended up taking it over for them, and then that was part of my services for them. Because the whole idea of marketing online is putting information out there one way or the other, video, text, social, whatever. But if you don't know what's working, or if you don't know what people are looking at or not looking at, then how do you know any of it is working? You're just kind of throwing spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks. So you don't want to do that. You want to track what is working. So when you do put something out, you want to monitor the engagement. So you want to look at your Pinterest analytics and see what pins are working, or your Instagram. Does Instagram have analytics? I think it does. Definitely your website. Again, I use a program called clicky.com. I know Google Analytics is free, but Google Analytics changed their analytics program a few years ago, And even professional SEO firms are abandoning it because they made it so convoluted and complicated and unuseful. It's the most unuseful analytics program. I don't know why they did what they did. I don't know what's going on at Google. Anyway, clicky.com, I think it's only $70, $80 a year. It's totally worth every penny. Anyway, so you can use programs like that to figure out what's working and what's not working. If you have someone else on your team, maybe you can put them onto that job if you don't feel that you're very good at doing that. And of course, I will eventually have a webinar on how to analyze your your analytics, no matter what program it is. You want to see which formats are doing well for you. Are you getting the most traffic from your website? Are you getting it from Pinterest? Are you getting it from YouTube? Where are you getting it from? Wherever you're getting it from, you want to put more into that and get more data from that. Now, if you're getting, let's say you made a website on bathroom modifications, the pros and cons, when to use a higher toilet, when to use a zero threshold shower, whatever. And let's say that video gets a lot of views. And then you turn it into an article, and the article also gets a lot of visitors, and you turn it into, and so now now you know that topic seems to be a hot topic. So what else can you write about that particular topic and put that in the formats that are bringing you traffic for that topic? It seems pretty easy. All you have to do is know what your audience wants and then give them more of it. And these days with online analytics programs, you can easily do that. You're not guessing. So that's what I love about taking the time to do the analytics. And you always want to improve any article. You always want to redo it, be it redo videos or redo articles or, whatever. You always want to redo them, improve them, maybe give update information. Maybe there's a new product that came out. I just saw a toilet this morning that had a S shape. So in other words, when you sat on it, your buttocks were on the scooped part and your legs were on the higher part. The purpose of that, of course, as a lot of us know, is that when you have a bowel movement on the toilet, it's easier if your legs are higher than your hips. And that's what that purpose is for. Now, I've never seen a toilet like that before, but I thought it was pretty cool and pretty inventive. So here, that's a new thing that came out. You could add that to an article that you may have about commodes or toilets. All right, last slide. Action steps. Start with one piece. Take one piece of article, one article that you write or short, anything at all, and map out 3 or 4 different ways that you can repurpose it. Doesn't have to always come from your head. Again, we are so blessed these days to have AI programs that can help us to think out of the box. And, don't be afraid to see what the AI programs tell you and let that inspire you. Either use what they have to say, it may be great, or maybe what they tell you inspires you for your own idea. That's the whole purpose of it. So start with one piece. A great thing to do is checklists and templates to guide your process, and basically create a checklist for yourself on, number one, this is the piece I'm going to use. Okay, the article is about bathroom safety. 1, I'm going to put it on Instagram. 2, I'm going to put it on Pinterest. And 3, I'm going to make a short YouTube video about it. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So that's your checklist for that. And maybe you can have a template. Templates are great because you make a template once and then you just reuse that over and over again. I have a website called funseniorholidays.com. So I'm always adding dates to that that website. It's just a fun little website. But you'll notice that every article is the exact same format. And the reason for that is because it's a fun little site. I'm not worried about it exploding in traffic or whatever. I hope it does someday, but it's just a fun site. And I created a template. So all I do is open the template, save it as the new page that I'm going to create, and then I just fill it in with the information that's needed for that particular fun holiday. So check it out, funseniorholidays.com, and you'll see what I mean. But templates are very easy to work with. Okay, so try a new format at some point. I mean, if you're doing Pinterest pins and you do that for a month or 2 months, 3 months, whatever, then shift over, add another new format, a webinar, blogs, infographics, Instagram, Reddit, what medium.com, whatever. Add those slowly, but start off with one. Start off with one, and then eventually 2-3 months later, whatever you're comfortable with, go on to the next one. Just keep adding it to your schedule. And then explore the helpful tools. There's so many. AI transcription tools, video editing, scheduling tools. Some of them I mentioned to you already, canva.com, Ideogram, gamma.app. What were some of the others? Opus for breaking down the videos, ScreenPal for creating these videos. There are so many products out there now that you can use, and if you're not sure where to find them, use ChatGPT or Perplexity and ask it. I would like to find a program that I can use to create video shorts. Can you give me 5 suggestions? Are there any free ones? Anything at all. Ask it. Use it as your search engine to find this information, because it's a lot quicker, it's easier, and makes it much faster to do the work that you need to do. All right, I hope this information was useful. As always, you can contact me, let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, the last Thursday of every month, I do a 2-hour Zoom, a live 2-hour Zoom. I'm open from 11 to 1 Eastern time, and you can come in and out off of that. You don't have to stay the whole 2 hours. The whole point of that Zoom call is to answer any questions that you may have about the webinars or just marketing in general, or just to chat about how your business is going, any problems you may be having. And my hope is that a lot of people end up joining that Zoom call to help each other, because that's the secondary purpose of the Aging in Place directory. Not only is it to provide homeowners with the resources of aging in place professionals in their area, but also to provide marketing information and helpful information to aging in place professionals. After all, we're all in this together. There's enough room for everybody to do the work that needs to get done. And it's only going to get more so. 10,000 plus people a day turning 65. Going to continue until 2040. That's a very long time. And yep, so we're going to be needed for sure. All right. Take care of yourself. I hope to hear from you, and thanks for listening. Bye.